create an environment that led to acceptable outcomes. These incidents took place during the period of time that the DOJ looked at, which was primarily between 2016 and 2021, before Chief Villaroel and I assumed our current roles. The DOJ report did not identify who was involved in these incidents because, again, that was not their focus. They were focused on the department and Metro government as a whole. And in their report, they made a series of recommendations for reform and improvement, a number of which we are already in the process of implementing, with more on the way. But in hearing those accounts of certain individual officers, I had questions, the chief had questions, and the community had questions. Understandable questions like, what was the full story of these incidents? Were they investigated? Was appropriate disciplinary action taken? And what needs to happen now? So the chief, my team, and I asked the Department of Justice to give us more information so we can understand what happened in our city with our officers and determine what we need to do to continue building trust with the people of Louisville. We need to know so we can continue to reform and improve LMPD. And the public has a right to know. There are 62 incidents referenced in the DOJ report that took place between 2016 and 2021. And that in their assessment, they could provide without compromising their investigation and the confidentiality of their witnesses. From the information provided by the DOJ, we have reconstructed what we can about the incidents mentioned in the report and the LMPD personnel who were present at the scene at some time during these incidents. We are releasing that list of referenced incidents today, and it will include links to relevant documentation. It will be available on the LMPD website. We also sought the advice of the Jefferson County Attorney's Office to determine what action might still be taken at this point in time. We can divide the 62 incidents into three basic categories. The first is incidents that were already reviewed and formally adjudicated. About half of the incidents, 29 out of 62, were investigated at the time by the LMPD's Professional Standards Unit, or PSU. And then a disciplinary determination was made by the police chief at that time, whether that was Chief Conrad, Schroeder, Gentry, or Shields. The county attorney has advised us that as a matter of law, these cases are closed and cannot be reopened or revisited. The second category is incidents that were reviewed but not formally investigated. These incidents received an administrative review, also known as a blue team review, but they were not formally investigated by the PSU. And these incidents can legally be reviewed again, and they will. Interim Chief Villaroel will review each of these 21 cases and determine what, if anything, should happen now in terms of discipline. And the third and final category is incidents that received no review at all, for whatever reason. There are 12 of those incidents. The chief will fully review and evaluate each of these and decide if further investigation or discipline is called for. And let's be clear, that just as we require officers to respect the constitutional right of residents, our officers have those same rights as well as specific provisions of state law and their collective bargaining agreement. And those laws and agreements have to be honored and will be honored. It's also worth noting that, as we all know, LMPD has seen a lot of turnover in recent years, and some of these incidents took place many years ago. Not all of the officers identified in these incident reports still work for LMPD. It's also very important to recognize that just because particular officers are listed as being at the scene when an incident of possible misconduct took place, It doesn't mean that every officer was involved or even fully aware of what was happening at the scene. Again, it's very important to recognize that just because a particular officer is listed as being at the scene when an incident of possible misconduct took place, it does not mean that every officer was involved or even fully aware of what was happening at the scene. These are often chaotic situations with a lot going on. No one should make assumptions without getting the facts. We also need to be mindful of the role that inadequate supervision or training may have played in an individual officer's decision. That's why it's important that each applicable case gets a thorough review. If the review indicates that further disciplinary action is deserved, then the chief will take further disciplinary action. When the results of this further review are complete, we will publicly share that information. And we are also working to release the body camera footage referred to in all of these incidents. That too will be publicly shared when available.